Hello, and I've been asked for this week round or this month to really focus on key advice that I've been given, and more focusing the question on what was the specific best business advice that I was given over my years, and how did that help to shape my business and my future? That's a really important question to ask. And I've been thinking about ways in which I could express that, build on examples, and really try and focus on what that best piece of advice was. And thinking it through, I've come to the understanding that the best advice that I was given was from a colleague of mine who had 30 years experience, who had worked in the soft tissue field, but more importantly, who had established networks, who had almost a blueprint for what a successful business is. So the best advice was build your networks. Think about who has worked in this field. Observe, model your practice on those that have gone before you and have achieved. So what I learned very early on is that I had tried many things, and through my trying, I achieved certain things, but also failed at certain things. And then I went to this event, met my colleague, and it was a CPD event. And through that event, I recognized that in order to achieve, you need to be able to be honest with yourself, to reflect and ask different types of questions. So the questions that I started to ask were around who could I take along with me on my journey? Who would inspire me, motivate me, but also enable me to open more doors and think about networks of practice or communities of practice. Through that, I then followed in the footprints of those that had achieved. And I wasn't scared to ask. So the key thing is, don't be scared to ask those who have been there, to explore, to challenge, to stretch, to really drill down to what are the basic ingredients that you need to achieve. And by doing so, what becomes really important is that you start to understand where your skill sets are, but equally where the gaps are and deficits are. And you can then work on a developmental approach to addressing that and achieving. So how did that help me? So when I started out many years ago, I was nervous, I was shy, and I thought I was alone. I sensed I was alone until I changed the way I think, until I decided I need to take that bold step. And working with others, I had to handpick those I wanted to work with. I had to think about who would help me achieve and how would I help them achieve. It was a symbiosis, a mutual agreement, a mutual respect, but at the same time, a mutual growth. And what I found is that by attending events, by asking the right questions, by asking different types of questions, by looking at what a successful business is and understanding what the ingredients are, for example, understanding basic accountancy, understanding marketing, understanding communication, understanding constant need to upskill and develop your skills, but more importantly, the best advice that I've given myself as a result of that process is to be honest with myself, not to paint everything in gold and think I've done really well when the bank account is showing I've made a loss, but to really think about and understand why I have taken certain actions in the way that I have. And once I understood that, I had a model that I could use. I had a recipe that I could share. And when I found that I could work with others and share my own growth experiences, they were willing to share with me their growth, their stories, experiences. And that enabled me to grow. And what I've done as a result of that, I've taken the risk and the plunge at times to write books, to build a business, to build businesses with others, for others. I've also landed roles in terms of chairing, met multiple groups, people, high-powered government officials, and that has really given me different views, different lenses in terms of what building a business is, what a successful business is, and that has shaped my thinking, that has shaped my work, but more importantly, it shaped the experience that my clients have had. And when I started out, I had to work really hard at marketing, really hard at finding clients. As I evolved this professional model, business practice, and the basic ingredient is being honest and open and reflective, I realized that clients were coming to me. They were marketing my business for me. They were telling others about the good experience that they have. And what I always do, I never lose sight of those humble first few steps I took. And I go back to that mindset of every experience that I give my client needs to be the best experience that I can give at that time. So my final words to all of you out there who have tuned in and listening, be honest with yourself, be willing to learn, be willing to ask, be willing to inquire, and be willing to challenge yourself. So at the end, you are satisfied with the product that you have. Best of luck in your journeys to building a successful business.